Welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into the first story. I've stopped doing the fun, extra office stuff after I didn't like the way my boss handled something. Am I the asshole? I guess background is important, and sorry it's long. My job performance is exceptional. I meet every necessary mark 100% of the time, and have done so for the last 10 years. Maybe an odd month or two in there due to travel, and things that would make it impossible. I've also stepped up and carried the load for coworkers when things have come up to ensure our area isn't dinged for performance issues. Clients get along well with me. I've never had a complaint filed against me, etc. You get the idea. I also am known to do all the holiday decorating, coordinating the gifts for office celebrations, baking the desserts, writing formal thank yous from our department, and making holiday baskets to help maintain positive relationships with the other agencies we work with. A couple months back, there was a policy change and none of us were happy about it. I made the best of a bad situation and adapted to the change immediately. My coworkers did as well, but they all called me to complain and vent. This is normal. We tend to complain amongst ourselves for one good session and then just, "It is what it is," and continue to work hard and not complain again. Here's where the issue is. While one of my coworkers was venting, my boss was eavesdropping selectively on my side of the conversation as that's what he could hear. I was commiserating with them, but also pointing out how it wouldn't be that bad, it's in our contract, how we can make it fun or less obnoxious, etc., etc. We hung up, and I didn't think about it further, especially since neither of us really said anything that you wouldn't expect an employee to say with the kind of change they're wanting. It was pretty damn tame. I didn't think about it again until my boss called me in a few days later to do an employee evaluation in response to it. In every review I've had here, I've always hit the exceeds expectations in nearly every category. He cut me down to meets expectations on everything. He reamed me for my attitude, for not cutting my coworker off and letting them vent, telling me I should have told them to call him. He accused me of being negative or a negative influence, and that if he didn't nip it in the bud now, it could fester and create a toxic work environment. I was and still am pretty pissed about it. Coworkers should be allowed to vent to each other without it being treated like this. After this, as you may have guessed, I'm just not in the mood to head up everything extra I've been doing to make the office environment fun. I keep my door closed when he's here. I didn't bring dessert for the March birthday lunch. That lunch isn't mandatory, but I didn't want more problems, so I went and just sat quietly the entire time. Now there's another appreciation week or month for one of the departments we work with, and there's been an email chain about cards and gifts, and I've responded the amount I'll put towards it and asked who I should send it to. People are noticing I'm not picking this stuff up, and that chain has gone in a circle for days now, and I'm not budging. I've had one person approach me about it, and I just said I don't have the time to take it on right now. I guess I'm feeling like all the things I did on the regular to foster a positive work environment got thrown out or was never appreciated because I lent an ear to a coworker and then got viciously reprimanded for it. Like, what's the point if 10 years of going out of my way gets thrown out just like that? Am I the asshole for just quietly stepping out of all of these extras due to my feelings on how this was handled? Am I being overly petty? Relevant comments. Commenter once said, "Not the asshole. The boss," as the kids called it. F-A-F-O. Addition venting is typically a positive and necessary thing, as long as it's handled appropriately, and it sounds as if you were that appropriate bottleneck and sounding board. He was extremely stupid to have not allowed you to explain the situation to him. Stand your ground. Just keep it light, sweet, and say, "My workload is preventing me from keeping up with those extra tasks." About it all. The creator replied, "Thank you." I did try to explain it to him when he was marking me down. The real irony is he was sitting there calling me a potential negative toxic presence that was going to ruin team morale the day after I had just handed out handmade valentines to my other teammates. Commenter 2 said, "The fact that he took what he overheard and worked that as part of your performance evaluation is extreme and tells me there is something more to this on his side. All the extra that you are doing are not part of your work duties, and stepping back is a choice. Simply let people know that you no longer have time to participate or lead such activities. I would watch things carefully and start documenting. Make sure that your silence and non-participation is not used against you." The creator replied, "That's the reason I didn't miss the March birthday lunch. I'm definitely documenting. My plan is to just say, I don't have time with my current case volume, if anyone asks." I've heard he reviewed the person that was complaining to me too, even though he didn't hear their side of the conversation, which I'm thankful for. Not them getting reviewed, but the not hearing part. They were pretty worked up. Commenter 3 said, "Not the asshole. You might want to start looking for a new job. Your boss seems to be the type to have the attitude. The beatings will continue until morale improves. He may end up firing you too. Nip it in the bud and set the other employees straight." The creator shared, "Oh, that's the thing. I love this job. It's a good one, and one of the few that still has a union. He wouldn't be able to terminate me unless I actually did something crazy or consistently not meet my matrix." Commenter 4 said, "I agree with you and absolutely would be hurt in this aspect of having an evaluation weaponized against you. He is toxic management. His actions are going to damage morale more than providing a sympathetic ear will ever do. He, meaning the boss, is going to try and flip this on you. Now that you're not doing the extras that did brighten up your coworkers' days, he may try and come back and use this against you. Do you have a way to formally dispute the evaluation? Can you speak with human resources? He is out of line punishing an employee for listening to someone else vent about the workplace. Venting is healthy. Gets things out in the open so work can continue. I think you need to vent to someone higher on the food chain that can wrangle him in." The creator replied, "This one isn't the annual, so it doesn't really count towards anything that could impact pay or raises. If my next one goes like this, I will be taking it above him. At that point it will potentially impact my earnings, and I refuse to get dock pay when I do so much." Commenter 5 said, "Your boss is a moron. You sound like a model employee, and he just sounds like a butthurt child who can't take criticism." The creator shared, "The whole reason we were complaining amongst ourselves and not to him is because we know the change wasn't something he decided on. We didn't see the point in stressing him out on something none of us have any control over. It definitely felt like a just complain to each other and move on situation." Update number 1. I hope I'm updating correctly. So a lot of people had asked for an update. I've waited a while after some movement and developments. There was an event that usually requires someone to head up the card, gift, staff coordination things. I had told the team and my boss several weeks in advance this event was pending and I wouldn't be free. No one did anything until the day before, and then one of them called me to ask that I do all the legwork. I declined, citing that I just did not have the time, which was and is true. My higher-ups cornered me on this a few days later, stating that I'd been pulling away, teamwork makes the dream work, etc., and citing this event as evidence. They also cited me being on my phone during unofficial mandatory fun times as further evidence of drawing back. I told them that I had given everyone, boss included, weeks of notice that the event was coming up and I wouldn't be available to head it up. I pointed out that I'm still helping the team with tasks directly relevant to work, but with my current caseload I just can't afford to allocate time to the social and event planning right now. As for the mandatory fun, I reminded them that I often don't get lunch breaks due to community meetings that get held at those hours, and my having to flex out early on those days. So having to lose out on a good break on a day I don't have to is burning me out. They fumbled around for about 30 minutes trying to convince me, and I just held firm that with my current caseload, I don't have time to allocate to non-essentials. I was told I'm allowed to prioritize my breaks. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to attend the community meetings recently, and honestly, this might be another thing I end up cutting back on in the long run. Overall, it came across like they're panicked I'm considering leaving. There was a comment about that concern, and I let them know I'm not planning on leaving, but I am taking time to restructure my priorities now that my caseload has increased. Relevant comments. Isn't the creator overdoing her work? The creator replied, I never work over 40 hours. My hours end, and I walk right out the door, and I leave the work phone there too. I don't think I was overdoing it, just making sure I was covering those that will cover me when things come up. It's not even a weekly occurrence, and they always reciprocate. I still plan on helping cover what needs coverage in regards to things relevant to the job, just not the cards and party planning stuff due to the way I'm feeling about things right now. Commenter 1 said, You're a woman, aren't you? Don't let them use you for free labor like that either way. He can write his own FING thank you notes. Don't do anything above your job description. You've been there 10 years? It's time to look for a new job. I bet you're underpaid too. Curious what the policy change is though. The creator replied, Oh, I'm not underpaid. I'm compensated fairly. This is a job worth writing out frustration for. Policy change was to make some non-traditional hours, with stipulations mandatory. I'm sure once the changes inevitably result with problems during standard business hours, they'll eventually reconsider this stupid short-sighted band-aid fix. Commenter 2 said, Author, it sounds like you have a lot of energy and enjoy doing things and getting things done. Rather than feel bad about work, consider using this energy in circles that will appreciate you. Volunteer work, hobby circles, whatever. I do a bit of volunteer work at the local elementary school, and they are 1000% more appreciative of my time than any boss I've ever worked for. The creator shared, The nature of my work is emotionally draining. You could describe the relationships with coworkers as trauma-bonded at times. I do not have it in me at the end of my 40 hours to do more of what I do at work for no pay. I know that sounds awful, but I need my non-work hours to spend time with friends, family, pets, and hobbies. I can't serve from an empty vessel. I know everyone is saying just quit, etc. But that's realistically not a solution for me. I love the work that I do. I find large areas of it to be incredibly fulfilling. I'm having a positive impact on my community. I know that I bring a personal history that allows me to be somewhat good at what I do. I'm not sure they'd be able to easily find another me, and that's unfortunately what the clients on my caseload need. Beyond that, however, I enjoy coming into work at least 90% of the time. I know I wouldn't be able to find another job that checks all the boxes this one does. Especially not where I live. Commenter 3 said, What point are you trying to make by backing out of the fun stuff? The boss obviously doesn't care about staff morale. The creator replied, I'm not trying to make a point. I feel like people aren't getting that. This isn't some passive-aggressive way to get back at anyone. I just feel really demoralized by the way he handled this, which makes me not want to do any of the extra, non-work related stuff anymore. I'm feeling like an asshole because my coworkers are the ones scrambling to fill the gaps in that area now that I've just kind of gotten too busy to head it up right now. Commenter 4 said, 1. How the heck are you achieving? Exceeds expectations. I have done everything extra, volunteered for additional tasks and responsibilities, and have only ever gotten meets. Last year I actually got sick of it and asked what it actually takes, and was told flat out that corporate designs the metric to make it impossible. He's a typical middle management corporate jackhole. Took a one-sided conversation clip and got scared and offended his bullshit isn't being eaten up with a smile. then just cracks down on you overall over one incident where he was eavesdropping. F him, not the asshole. The creator shared, I am very detail-oriented, organized, and efficient to a fault. A lot of stuff I do simply because I feel guilty for having free time at work. I could probably complete my entire job functions each week in like 20 hours if it was allowed that option. I've always been like this. I probably have some kind of disorder, laugh out loud. I'm just as bad at home. My husband has told me that I complete more in the time between waking and getting to work than a lot of people manage in an entire day. The job I left for this one had to hire more than one person to replace me, but training was probably easy because I wrote a guide on what needed to be done daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually and gave them my spreadsheets. I know if I reached out to that previous job they'd snap me up in an instant, but their pay and benefits are garbage. Update number 2. Annual performance evaluation is in, and it's just as dismal as the retaliatory one. I've declined signing it without discussion, and I've contacted my union. This feels like punitive retaliation. If they can't justify the decreases despite my consistent quality performance, I will be quiet quitting everything that's not a core job function, as continuing to do so will feel like chasing an unattainable metric. The creator's final comment. Union advised that technically the review is valid as they're going by the letter of the set parameters, and boss advised that since I meet my deadlines and quotas it's valid. I have gone the route of quiet quitting. Nothing outside the minimum to meet expectations so my raises aren't impacted. I've called in sick on a few days there was non-mandatory but unspoken mandatory fun. I've ceased community outreach so that I'm not missing my breaks. Co-workers are aware there was unjust retaliation. More changes have come that impact management. Boss is talking about taking a job with less of a commute. I know I'll be encouraged to apply for their position. All I'm going to do when that happens is laugh. That wraps up our first story. It's a clear example of how quiet quitting is often just a natural response to being undervalued. Now, let's move on to our second story. I, an 18-year-old female, am in an awkward position with my childhood best friend, a 19-year-old male, and my boyfriend, a 20-year-old male. Throwaway, since my best friend is a Redditor. Sorry for length. I've known my best friend, Kevin, since I was 5 years old. He is a great friend and a great guy. I've never felt anything but friendship toward him, and, if anything, I consider him to be like a brother to me. I'm not attracted to him physically, and have always treated him platonically. I have always kept the affection to a strictly friends level, occasional hugs and whatnot, nothing more, because I don't want to send him confusing signals. When we were in high school, Kevin asked me to be his girlfriend and confessed to always having feelings for me. I was 15 and he was 16. I explained that I only saw him as a friend, and my feelings were not going to change. I have always been certain of this. After a period of awkwardness, he let it go, and we became close friends again, like nothing happened. He also asked me to his senior prom, but to avoid causing confusion, I said no, and he went with someone else instead. I have told him more than once that we are just friends, and I am not looking for anything more from him. I'm not a very emotional person and have very limited dating experience, but about 6 months ago, I met a guy named Mark. I was instantly attracted to him. We discovered that we complement one another very well, and started dating about a month after we met. Mark is my first serious boyfriend. He makes me very happy, and even though it's early in the relationship, I am excited to see where it leads, and he is very warm and understanding. I had never really felt a spark toward a guy until I met Mark. I waited a little while to introduce Kevin to Mark, because I was afraid of Kevin's reaction. Whenever I went on a date in high school, Kevin would get really jealous, so I stopped talking about guys with him altogether. But I wanted Kevin and Mark to meet because I want them both in my life. And I hoped if he saw me happy, Kevin would finally get over whatever feelings he had for me. I told Mark that Kevin had or has feelings for me, but I assured him that I did not feel the same way, and he trusted my word. We all went out together. Kevin, myself, Mark, and a couple of other friends. After Mark and I became official, and it was just as I feared. Kevin hated Mark from the first moment they met. Mark tried his hardest to be friendly and to engage Kevin in conversation, but Kevin was rude and standoffish the whole time. Even our other friends thought he was taking it too far. I had hoped he would at least give Mark a chance, since Mark was making an effort, but Kevin wasn't having it. Mark was upset, but I told him I would speak to Kevin about his behavior. I asked Kevin to try and be a little nicer to Mark, or at least meet him halfway, and Kevin promised to try. Kevin didn't really try. He continued to treat Mark like he didn't exist, and would only invite me to hang out, but not Mark. One night, about a week ago, a group of us were out bowling, and Mark overheard Kevin saying some very rude things about him to one of our other friends. Mark confronted him, and things got heated. No punches were thrown, but I took Mark, and we left shortly after. Mark apologized for making a scene, but I texted Kevin after we got home, and I told him that I didn't appreciate how he was treating my boyfriend, and if he didn't stop, I wasn't going to hang out with him anymore. Kevin asked me to meet with him the next day, alone, so we could talk about it. I met him at a coffee place, and he basically told me that he couldn't believe I was picking Mark over him. He ranted about how he'd always been there for me, how he's been by my side for years, waiting for me to feel the same way he does, and I'd basically stepped all over him for some random guy I've only known for half a year. He then told me what I've always suspected and dreaded. He's been in love with me for years, and can't stand to see me with someone else. I calmly reiterated that I have only ever considered him a friend, and have told him that before, and he went off on a big tirade about how insensitive I am, parading my boyfriend around in front of him. He got really emotional, and said that Mark will never understand me like he does, and I'm shallow and selfish for refusing to give him a chance to change my mind. And he accused me of leading him on all these years. I apologized to Kevin for leading him on. I really don't think I did, but if he felt that way, it was unintentional on my end, and told him that he would not be able to change my mind because I'm with Mark, and even if I wasn't, that doesn't mean I would date him. He was pretty livid and said that I can't have both him and Mark, and I would have to choose my friendship with him or my relationship with Mark. Then he stormed out of the coffee shop. It was the angriest I've ever seen him. Kevin was always a really sweet guy, but whenever Mark is around or mentioned, he just gets really mad. I've had a few days to think about this. I don't want to give up my relationship with Mark. The relationship is young, but I'm happy, and we exchanged the love word about a month ago. I haven't known him nearly as long as I've known Kevin, but my feelings for him are strong, and I don't want to give them up. I told Mark about Kevin's ultimatum, and he was angry about it. He said I shouldn't have to choose, and told me he thinks Kevin is being totally irrational. I hoped Kevin would cool down, but he hasn't texted me since we met up, except one message that said, "You make up your mind yet?" I've been friends with Kevin for 13 years, and I don't want to throw our friendship away. He's never acted this irrational before. However, I know if we stay friends, he might not be able to get over his feelings, and I don't want to give him any false hope about us ending up together someday. I also think he's being a total jerk but about everything. I'm going to pick Mark. I don't have any qualms about it. I know I need to cut Kevin out of my life. Mark would never make me choose like this, and I don't even recognize Kevin anymore from the way he's acting. But what do I say to Kevin? I'm worried about him, and don't want to hurt him any more than I already have. I feel terrible about everything and hate that Mark got tied up in all this drama, because he didn't even do anything. Kevin was really angry when we met up to talk, and I don't even know if I should meet with him again in person, especially alone. How do I end a 13-year friendship? Any advice? Too long, didn't read. Childhood best friend is pissed at me for having a boyfriend. Confessed his love for me, and is now asking me to pick between him and my boyfriend. Don't know how to end a 13-year friendship. Relevant comments. A commenter said, Kevin sounds like a textbook, nice guy. I know you don't want to lose him, but he's not your friend. He believes he is entitled to you romantically because he has been nice to you. This is not a good friend to have. The creator shared, I've heard of nice guys, but never really thought of Kevin as one before now. Again, this is the first time he's overly acted like this. But thanks for giving me this perspective, it really helps. Another commenter said, I've known my male best friend for years and years too. No attraction on either side. Purely friends. When I bring boyfriends round, you know what he does? Nothing. And I mean nothing out of the ordinary. He's as friendly to them as he is me, laughs and jokes with them, asks after them when he next sees me. That's how a true platonic friendship is. Kevin is just waiting around for you, and it's never going to happen. Ditch him, and go be happy with your new boyfriend. You won't be losing a friend, you'll be losing a creep who's in love with you, and can't accept you're not in love with him. The creator added a little more in the comments. Mark isn't pissed at me, he's pissed about the situation in general. I told him about Kevin's feelings for me right at the beginning. At that point, I didn't know how intense Kevin's feelings were, or even if he still had them, since I'd already turned him down years ago. Perhaps I wasn't clear on that, for which I apologize. But yes, I realized that I need to end the relationship with Kevin because it isn't fair to anyone, and I was stupidly idealistic for thinking they could get along. Edit. Mark also originally said he would make an effort to get along with Kevin, because Kevin was my best friend for 13 years. He never asked me to cut ties with Kevin, even though that is what I am going to do. Update. I knew the choice I was going to make before I made the post, but it was really gratifying, in a way, to see so many people support that decision and give some insight. I really appreciate it. So many of you were very helpful. Some things I did not go into detail about in the original post is my social life and friendships. I did mention I am not an emotional person, but what I probably should have said is that I don't easily form emotional attachments to people and have difficulty interacting with others. I don't want to go into details, but my parents played a big role in that. Kevin is the only consistent friend I've ever had. My social life has improved considerably over the past couple of years, and especially in the months since I've been dating Mark. I've learned to open up to people more, and I am much happier, but for a while, when I was younger, Kevin was all I had. That's why it was so hard to come to the decision to cut him from my life. Anyway, about 4 days after I made the post, I texted Kevin and told him to meet me at the same coffee place we met at before so we could talk. I was scared to meet with him alone, so I brought Mark. It might not have been the best move, and several comments told me it was better to call or text or email, but I wanted to speak to him firmly face to face, so he could see how serious I was, and Mark wanted to be there in case Kevin got angry with me. He sat in a corner with a book and monitored the situation from a distance, so he could step in if necessary. Prior to our meeting, I let several of our mutual friends know of the situation. Most of them were very understanding. Some were already aware, because Kevin had spoken to them. I gave them my side of things, so they at least could understand where both of us were coming from. I didn't ask them to choose sides, I just wanted both sides to be out there. I have received a significant amount of support from them, though a couple of them seem to think I am being a bitch. But whatever, I've been called worse. Many of my friends really like Mark and have become his friends too, so I am glad that they are being understanding about this, for the most part. When Kevin and I met up, I said just what a lot of you recommended. I told him that I was not the one who was ending this friendship. He was ending it by making me choose between him and being in a relationship with Mark. I told him a real friend wouldn't do that to me, and if he really cared about me, he would be happy that I am in a relationship with someone I really care about. He said that a good friend wouldn't ignore his feelings like I have and wouldn't lead him on. I told him that he's been ignoring my feelings as well, and reminded him that I told him early on that I did not have feelings for him. It was a lot of back and forth, and I reiterated to Kevin that even if I were not with Mark, I wasn't going to date him. I then said that we needed space apart to reevaluate things, because being around one another was not good for either of us, and told him that I hoped he would find his own happiness. Kevin didn't really respond well. He made a minor scene and stormed out of the coffee shop. He also called me some very not nice names, which only reaffirmed that I made the right decision to cut him out of my life. This happened pretty quickly, and Kevin left before Mark could intervene. Mark and I left the shop soon after, and I haven't heard from Kevin since, though he has been telling some of our mutual friends how terrible I am and what a bad friend I've been. So there's that. I do not intend to contact him, and will not be attending any of the same social events that he is. I have also blocked him on social media for the time being. I am very sad to lose my friendship with Kevin. If he is able to sort out his feelings, then I have hope we can reconnect in the future. But I do not think that will happen anytime soon, and will be moving on with my life, and will continue on in my relationship with Mark. I have also apologized to Mark for the whole situation, and he's been great through it all. I'm really very lucky to have him. I have told him I will work on communicating better with him. Anyway, Mark recently had a non-emergency issue with his family back home and asked me to go with him to visit his family and deal with this situation. I didn't want to intrude, but he said he will feel better having me there with him to support him. We will be gone for a couple of months out of the country, as his family lives in Europe. We leave this weekend, and though it's not an ideal situation, I am glad that there will be an entire ocean between Kevin and me, so hopefully he can start sorting out his issues. Thank you again for all of your help. I might update again if anything changes. Too long, didn't read, have put space between myself and my childhood best friend, Kevin, and he did not respond well. I am putting my best foot forward with my boyfriend, Mark, and have gone no contact with Kevin, so he can hopefully sort his feelings out. Final update, 2 months later. After my first update, I got a lot of supportive comments, which I greatly appreciate. I also got a few nasty private messages calling me some pretty colorful names. Fortunately, I've seen every episode of Game of Thrones, so I am desensitized to profane language and insults. On the other hand, the nice messages were lovely to read, and I am grateful for the feedback. I'm sorry that I didn't reply to most, but it's been a busy couple of months. Someone also linked my original post and the first update to a different subreddit. I checked it out after someone mentioned it in the comments or a private message, and I was surprised to see my posts there. But it did offer me some insight to look through the comments there, as well as the comments on my posts here. After my last post, Mark and I went to Germany and stayed there from June until the last week of July. Once his family issues were resolved, we spent a lot of time together, and I got to know his family. They were very welcoming, which was a huge relief, as I tend to come off a little cold when meeting people. We got along well, and it was a very enjoyable trip. His parents want us to come back for the holidays, so that's now in our plans. Mark and I have been together less than a year, but the trip strengthened our relationship and reaffirmed that I want to be with him. While I was away, I had almost no contact with friends from home other than occasional messages. I had no contact whatsoever with Kevin. I didn't ask any of our friends about him, and they didn't tell me anything. Even after I returned home, I did not inquire after him or communicate with him in any way, and most of my friends knew not to bring him up, and I assume they did the same with Kevin in regards to me. If I knew he would be at a social gathering, I did not attend. I've been planning to move to a new city for education and career purposes since last year, and I've been scoping out places to live and employment opportunities for a while now. With help from a few friends I have in the area, those plans have come into fruition. Mark and I have discussed it extensively, and he decided to make the move with me. His whole family is in Germany, and he doesn't have any strong connections to our current city. We've lined up an apartment together. Mark has a couple of interviews. I have my ducks in a row, and we will be moving in about a week. I am so excited to begin this new chapter of my life with Mark, and I am confident in the future for both of us as individuals and together. This past weekend, a few of our friends threw a goodbye party for me and Mark at one of our favorite local hangouts. Though many of them were aware of the whole Kevin fiasco, he was invited to the event without my knowledge. I nearly panicked when he walked in the door. He asked me if we could talk. He seemed very calm, so I consented. We stayed in the party area because I didn't want to be alone with him. Well, Reddit, he apologized for everything he said, for bad-mouthing me to our mutual friends, for the ultimatum, for being a total jerk to Mark, and for not listening to me when I rejected him the first time. He said that going no contact was the best thing for him, because it helped him put everything in perspective. Then he said, and I'm not even kidding, I didn't realize I was being a nice guy trademark. I forgave him. No waterworks or fanfare. I also apologized to him for possibly giving him mixed signals, as it was never my intention, and he said that after he had time to think about it, he realized that he had been ignoring my feelings and he should have respected my wishes in the first place. And we both agreed that our friendship could survive, but we would never be best friends again. We are going to be friendly, but he's going to be a few hundred miles away now, which is good for everyone involved. Kevin told me that he is doing well, and has even gone on a couple of dates since our big falling out. He seems really hopeful about things, and I am happy for him. I do think he has moved on from nice guy Tom. I stole that from someone in the first update, and onto a better mindset. And I'm sure he will be very happy in the future once he finds the right girl. He wasn't always the too intense male personification of Taylor Swift's "You Belong With Me" song. When we were done talking, Kevin spoke to Mark. I don't know the details of that conversation, but they shook hands and Mark told me that Kevin apologized to him. They'll never be bros or anything, but as long as neither tries to kill the other when they're in the same room, I consider it a victory. Some of my mutual friends have also apologized to me for calling me names during this whole situation and listening to Kevin's badmouthing. I'm pretty much over it. No point holding grudges now when Mark and I are moving on to a new chapter in our lives, and Kevin is starting his own. A lot of posters commented that I am lucky to have a guy like Mark. He's dealt with everything very well, and I couldn't ask for a more supportive boyfriend. And I mentioned it last time, but yes, I have apologized to Mark for unintentionally dragging him into this drama. He said that he is just glad it has been resolved, and he appreciates that I told him everything from the get-go. I hope no one has to deal with Kevin in the same way I did, but if anyone else out there does have a situation like this, I hope your Kevin or Kevinette comes around and the situation is resolved. For those of you who sent me hateful messages, I cannot imagine how cumbersome it is to carry so much spite and vitriol for someone you've never met. I hope you someday learn to channel your bitterness in more effective ways, and can find a more productive outlet for your anger, apart from anonymously cussing out teenage girls on the internet. Thank you all for your advice and insight over my last 2 posts. I am very grateful. Too long, didn't read. Kevin apologized. We are now cordial. I am moving to a new city with Mark. Our relationship is going strong, and we are all starting new chapters in our lives. That concludes our second story. Now, let's move into our third and final story. I charged my friend $90 after she altered the dress I lent her. Am I overreacting? I, a 24-year-old female, have a friend, a 23-year-old female, who came to me a month ago asking to borrow a blue bridesmaid dress. I was a bridesmaid for a wedding with a blue theme not too long ago, so I lent her the dress I used. She was a really good friend, so I didn't really mind helping her out. After I handed her the dress, she texted me thanking me, and I have not really heard from her since. Anyway, the wedding happened, and a week later, she came to return the dress she borrowed. When she came over, I asked her how the wedding went, and whether or not the dress was comfortable. That's when she admitted that she had it altered to fit her better since she was smaller than me, and that she liked it more snug. I was shocked, gagged, confused. I do not even know how to feel about it. She didn't even ask my permission to have it altered. Also, isn't it common etiquette to return borrowed things in the same condition you receive them? Also, she could have just asked. Anyway, we had a conversation about how I didn't really appreciate what she did. She apologized and flat out said I can still have it readjusted if I wanted to wear it again, and that she was willing to pay for it. I told her I wasn't sure it would work since she basically shrunk my dress. Then she suggested I sell the dress, so I asked her to buy it since she took it upon herself to have it altered without my permission. She asked how much, and when I told her it was $90, she straight up told me it was too much, that she wasn't willing to pay that much for a dress that has been used. I feel like it is a reasonable price as I bought it for almost $120. Also, it is a cute dress that I intend on wearing again. Am I overreacting for doing what I did? Is my reaction valid? The creator's only comment. Hi, I am skilled at working with antique fabrics and at pattern making. I doubt that this dress could be let back out to its original configuration or size. For one thing, satin is very unforgiving. It shows needle marks, seam pressing, and the satin texture wears off easily. Satin is difficult to work with even when it has not been messed with, and care is needed to not disturb the satin texture. Taking it in is one thing. That can be done without spoiling the dress. But letting it out? Not the same thing since the stitches removed will show, and so will the seams that have been pressed. Not overreacting. If you borrowed a chair from your friend and had the legs shortened without her consent and then gave it back to her, I wonder how she would react? The creator replied, "Thank you for this." Top comment. Not overreacting. My grandma used to say, borrowed is related to gifted, and learned in the hard way that it's true. I honestly can't believe the audacity of alter the dress. A true friend would have told you, "Hey creator, thank you, but it's a little big for me," instead of basically making sure you'll never be able to wear it again. If you have the receipt or anything that shows the price, I would send it to her, demand at least the $90 you told her, and stop considering her a friend. Another user said, the audacity to tell her she doesn't want to pay $90 for a used dress? She's the one that used it and then ruined it for the creator. Oh my god. Update 2 days later. Hi. Thank you for the comments and messages. Every one of them has been extremely kind and helpful. First of all, I want to address the people saying the original post was made to promote the dress. I literally just wanted to know if there was any chance it could be realtered because my friend was only willing to pay for realteration. Promoting the dress would benefit me in no way whatsoever. Now on that matter, I have spoken to dressmakers, tailors, dress experts, and they all said that the dress cannot be restored to its original size and form since it is made of satin. I even went to the actual shop where my friend had it altered, but they also said there was nothing they could do. Anyway, my former friend still refused to pay me, and is still being a shitty person. Plus, she had the nerve to ask me to just give it to her, or sell it to her at a lower price, and it got me wondering if that was her motive all along. She probably knew the dress cannot be re-altered. I do not know. After all that, I've decided to just cut her off and take the high road. I honestly don't have the time or energy to chase her down for $90. I know I can buy another cute dress with the $90, but I'd pay triple that to never ever speak to her or see her again. I ended up giving the dress to my roommate, who isn't a shitty friend. And thankfully it fits her perfectly with some minor adjustments on the sides maybe? So at least the dress didn't completely go to waste. Sorry if this isn't the dramatic update some of you wanted. I know a lot of you were hoping I'd take her to small claims court, but I am choosing peace. If anything happens, I'll update. But for my sake, I hope that she stays the heck away from me. And that brings us to the end of our third and final story. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.